Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Day Cop, aka the Army, and we back with another video today. Today is just gonna be a sit down, chill type of video. Last week one of my TikTok videos got like 70k views. Crazy. Like that was like my third video that I posted on TikTok. So if you're not already following me on TikTok, stop. Go follow me on TikTok, the Army RN. I'll leave the description of the video. Y'all can go back and watch it. But also I have been getting a lot of the same type of questions, so I just want to sit down and read some of those questions and answer them for you guys here on YouTube. But also I'm doing something very special. September 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing a live military Q&A. And if you would like access to that, comment the word tribe, but I'll leave the information in the description box. That way you'll get access to the live Q&A. So instead of having to just watch these questions on YouTube, you'll have the opportunity to ask me the questions live, okay? Now let's get into it. Hey guys, so if this is your first time seeing me, you don't know who I am, what's up? Welcome to the tribe. I'm glad to have you here. My name is Deja. I've been in the Army National Guard for the past 8 years. The Army has paid for my nursing degree, so I am a registered nurse as well. I'm also an Army nurse in the military, and I'm a travel nurse. Just a little background about me, but today in this video we'll be going over some of the questions that I received on one of my TikTok videos. So I'm gonna go in those questions now, okay? So one question that I received, which was a really good question, is do you still get your college paid for even though you're reserved? So the answer to that question is yes. You still can get your college paid for if you do Army Reserve or Army National Guard. Now the way it works may look a little different for the active duty members, but essentially on the Guard side and the Reserve side, you have something called tuition assistance or tuition exemption. Tuition exemption is where your tuition is basically it's just waived. So when you go to school, it's completely waived, just the tuition. Now the tuition assistance part means they will cover a certain portion of your tuition. But branch to branch, state to state, it kind of varies that percentage, and depending on the college, whether it's public or private, it just depends on how much assistance that they give you. But yes, you can still receive you can still get your college, you can still get a portion of your college paid for through going reserve. Another question that I received was, why didn't I go active duty nursing? And if I'm being completely honest, I didn't know another route besides the route I took. So I went National Guard route because my brothers had just went to the National Guard, so that was the only form of the Army I knew. I didn't realize that I could go active duty. But now thinking back on it, I'm okay with the route that I took, but this is why I'm making these type of videos to help you decide and help others decide if this is the route for them or not. So simply the reason why I didn't go active duty nursing first is because I didn't know it was an option. Maybe if I knew it was an option, I might have made another decision. But as of right now, I'm satisfied with the choices that I made. Okay, here's another good question that I received. Well, it's kind of a comment, but here it is. I'm a registered nurse and I have 3 years experience and I have a BSN. Do I need to take the ASVAB? And to answer that question is no. If you are already practicing as a registered nurse with the BSN degree, you do not have to take the ASVAB at all. And the reason for that is because you're already licensed. you're already licensed, so it's no reason to take the ASVAB. When I enlisted, I took the ASVAB because I was 18, I didn't have a degree. But if you have a degree, then you don't need to take the ASVAB because you'll come in as an officer, versus if you were lower enlisted, then you would have to take the ASVAB, if that makes sense. Another question was, did I have a year of experience before I commissioned as a registered nurse? And the answer to that question is yes. I did have a year of experience before I commissioned as a registered nurse. I think the minimum is 6 months. You have to have at least 6 months experience practicing as a registered nurse before you can commission as a nurse officer in the military. Another good question is, do I have to wait until my contract was over? So this question is coming from someone who's prior service, which means they may be a sergeant or a lower enlisted soldier already in the military, and they're asking, do I have to wait until the terms of my enlistment contract is over before I direct commission? And the answer to that question is no. If you already have your bachelor's degree in nursing, you would have to put in a packet to direct commission, and then that old enlistment contract would kind of be over with, and then you would have a new contract if you signed on with a bonus or anything like that. And that's actually the route that I took. I was an E5 sergeant first, put in my packet to direct commission. My packet went through, and then that contract that I had before was gone because I was no longer on the enlisted side. I was on the officer side. So I hope that helps. Another question I received was, what was my MOS when I enlisted? My MOS was 74 Delta, which was CBRN, chemical, radiology, biological, nuclear. That was my MOS. So everything to do with hazmat, gas masks. You see the guys on TV with the suits and the oxygen tanks on their back? That was my job. That's what I did. Needless to say, it had its fun moments, but being in them mop suits and all that equipment, that was not fun. Very hot. But that was my job. Another question is, I was told that as a BSN, I would commission as a first lieutenant. Is that correct? Or does it depend by situation? So the answer to that question is, that depends on the time and experience you have practicing as a registered nurse before you direct commission. So if you have over 3 years experience practicing as a registered nurse prior to commissioning, then you can commission with the rank of first lieutenant. Less than 3 years, you commission as a second lieutenant. I came in with 1 year experience as a nurse and commissioned as a second lieutenant. So here's another question. Can you describe a typical drill for a RN in the Guard? What do you do and what are you in charge of? So for me, what I do as a nurse in the Army National Guard is I am a case manager. And at my unit, what we do is it's called PHAs, which stands for Periodic Health Assessment, and it's a yearly annual checkup for soldiers where we check their vision, their hearing, vitals, their teeth, update them on lab work, all of that type of stuff. And so my job as the case manager is to sit the soldier down and ask them medical questions like, are you taking any medications, any recent surgeries, hospitalizations, just to see where they are medically. If something happened from them last year to this year, are they under a doctor's care? Do they have a profile, any new injuries? That's my job, and I do that every single month when I'm at drill. And as far as who am I in charge of, I'm not really in charge of soldiers just because of the way this unit is set up. I don't have soldiers under me. But for example, our medics, Sometimes I may be asked to be the lab OIC, where I oversee the medics, making sure they're using the right tubes, they're sticking our soldiers in the right places, stuff like that. Or if a soldier is a hard stick, they may ask me or another nurse like, hey, this soldier's a little dehydrated, can you help us with a stick to get some blood drawn, stuff like that. So compared to what I was doing CBURN, I don't mind this. This is not hard, but this is just what my job looks like. As a nurse on the guard side, it may look different unit to unit depending on what your unit mission is. So my unit's mission is making sure the soldiers are ready to deploy medically. And then another question I received is, how am I able to be a travel nurse and in the military at the same time? Am I active duty? Am I reserve? And can you just share your experience? So I am on the reserve side, Army National Guard. I do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the summer. The military paid for my nursing school, so I became a nurse. And then once I became a nurse, a year or so later, I direct commission. So now I'm an Army nurse officer. And then on the civilian side, I have done travel contracts. So what I would do is I knew my drill dates months in advance. So when I would go to set up my contracts with the hospitals, I would automatically say, hey, I need these days off for drill, military reasons. And I never had any issues with the hospitals because it was military related. And then on the back side, I informed my unit and my commander, hey, I'm going out of state for these travel contracts, so they would know what was going on. So it was really more of a communication type thing. And because I'm a good, responsible, trustworthy soldier. That's the biggest thing. If your command and your leadership don't trust you, then you may have problems. I didn't have any problems because I had a good relationship with my leadership. And if something was to happen and my flight was delayed coming back, I was able to communicate that and they would trust that, oh, she's telling the truth, she's just not bullshitting, if that makes sense. So it comes with planning and communicating, and you can do both only if you go the reserve route. If you're active duty, you can't be active duty and a civilian travel nurse at the same time. It just doesn't work like that. Another good question was, is this just for the Army or does this apply to the Air Force? So this applies to every branch. And the only military corps branches is Army, Air Force, and Navy. So you can be in any of those three branches doing the same thing I'm doing, but you just have to be on the reserve side in that branch. So that means either Navy Reserve, Air Force Reserve, or Army Reserve. If you're on the reserve side, then yes, you can do this. You can essentially do it. Now, it may look different. The terms and the names may be different, but you can essentially do the same thing in either three of those branches. Else asked me, have I already gone to BOLIC? BOLIC is your basic officer leaders course. And essentially, that is a course where the Army teaches you how to be a nurse officer and how to be a leader in the military. So for me on the reserve side, it was like a 4-week course that I had to go to. I learned a lot, and you pretty much learn the medical side of the military. It's different than the civilian side. Not too different, but the structure is different. So it is very good to go there and learn and absorb as much information as possible. If you guys are interested, I can do a whole video on BOLIC, like going more in depth of what that experience actually looked like. Another question I received was, ma'am, could you please be my mentor? I'm on the reserve side, but I'm lower enlisted E4, and I'm debating on getting out in 2025 so I can do travel nursing. So I have gotten this question a couple times about mentorship. And if you're interested in me mentoring you, just comment below mentor. And I'll put you guys on a waiting list for when my first mentorship opens, okay? But in this situation, for this soldier, I would advise them. But you see, this is like a loaded question because I would have to ask them specifically, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? Yeah. This isn't just a question that I can just give one answer because it depends on your goals and where you're trying to go. So this isn't a question, but it's a comment that I received. It says, go Army Reserve Federal, not National Guard State. I do like this comment, and I want to elaborate a little bit more about what it means. So Army Reserve is federally funded. It's federally funded. National Guard is state funded. So what that means is where your money is coming from. So the Army Reserve may have more funding because it's coming from the federal government versus the National Guard is only limited to the money that comes from its state. So with that being said, let's say if, for example, you may want to get on some active duty orders, or maybe these special orders that are only available to active duty, it may be, you'll have a greater chance of getting those orders if you're active duty, well, not active duty, if you're on the reserve side versus on the National Guard side, because the National Guard doesn't have as much money to send you these other places. They rather keep you in the state because that's where they need you. And National Guardsmen only really stay within their state versus reserve members can get orders pretty much anywhere within the U.S. Which would make sense because the National Guard is funded by a state. So I'm paying you, I'm gonna keep you here in the state. See how that makes sense? And so big difference with the National Guard versus the Reserve is that the National Guard is responsible for national disasters like within that state. So like hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, those natural disasters that we face, those are your guardsmen who come out to protect your state. So like in California, when you have the wildfires, those are the National Guards who come. In the southern states where you have your hurricanes and your flood, those are the guardsmen who come. So it's important that we keep the guardsmen within the state so when there's an emergency, we can send them out, if that makes sense. So if you're a person who like, okay, right now I want to go to school, I want the Army to pay for it, but maybe in a year or so I may want to go active duty. If you think you may want to go active duty, then you should go the reserve route, because the reserve is more likely to release you for active duty orders versus the National Guard. They're not trying to let you go because they need you stateside, if that makes sense. So guys, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please go like, comment, and subscribe. Also doing a live military Q&A September 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you'll be able to ask me your questions and get a response right then and there, okay? I'll leave the registration information in the description, okay? So please, please, please go like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not already connected with me on Instagram and TikTok, my name is the Army RN, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you guys September 29th, okay? Bye.